Okay, let's have the pledge to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, board members and our camera person. No one in the audience, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. Okay, roll call.
Mark Foltz.
Present.
Mark Frazier.
Here.
Francis Griffith.
Here.
Kelly Schmidt here. Troy Carmody.
Here.
Agenda. Kelly put the agenda together and distributed it. Any changes? Once? Twice?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. August 12th was our last meeting, which was just a couple weeks ago, regular meeting minutes. Have you looked at those?
I don't appear to have them.
Here.
That's all right.
Oh, is that them? No.
There they are.
Okay.
Yep, okay, I got it.
Butch, does it look accurate?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Troy's made a motion, seconded. Butch, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No public comments, unless there's somebody hiding out somewhere, okay? Report. Troy, we'll start with the sheriff.
We didn't get one yet?
No report. Cecil.
Yeah, well, this is last month,
Cecil.
We've been, of course, meeting here. Durand is up and running, and frankly, since they've kind of lessened, the call for not using ambulances, they've been pretty busy. And we've been running some for Langsburg, and but they've been running pretty hard. So calls should start creeping back up to the normal range. There was quite a period there where they didn't want people coming to the hospital. And,
Really?
yeah. So ambulances weren't running as much, which is probably, they're finding out that wasn't a real good thing, but.
Okay. DDA, of course, we didn't meet. Zoning, I went over that on the 12th. Nothing new. We haven't got our months. We haven't got our other one from
Oh, we haven't got this month yet.
this month. John, our commissioner, couldn't be here today. But we'll talk a little bit about, they did have what was that meeting? We'll talk about that later.
That was planned.
Property update, yeah. Mark, the library.
Jamie's been working with the Hysterical Society, and,
With the what?
Hysterical Society.
Oh, historicals. Okay.
And she's working on the annual report. Of course, there's a lot of things that are impacted by being shut down for a while. And
Sure.
they cut the fines out and stuff like that. And,
Oh, for books returned?
yeah, and they did get their millage,
Oh, good.
so they're in good shape.
Good.
They're working on a new catalog app through the whole consortium. And their programs actually were pretty well attended. A lot of it was done online, but they did have quite a bit of participation. Perry's going to have an outdoor book sale September 17th to 19th,
Okay.
and there's a author that I'm not familiar with.
Sharon Taylor
Yeah, she's going to be.
wrote a book called Birds Outside My Window.
Yep, she's going to be September 19th.
McCurdy Park.
Corona.
McCurdy Park.
Yep.
That's Saturday, September 19th.
Yeah.
That's the day of the Perry Auto Show, Auto Fest, which is going to continue. So, okay, so that Perry Fest, so that outdoor book sale is going to be in conjunction with that. Okay, thanks, Mark. Any questions? Trade court, Troy.
Didn't have a meeting since our last meeting.
This meeting is rolling right along here, isn't it, Tom?
Well, we've only had 3 weeks between our last meeting.
That's true. Okay, back to Mark, SEDP.
Well, our last meeting was a combo meeting. Some of us were on site and some were on the phone. we haven't been doing any programs because of that to speak of, but we did discuss financially, we're doing pretty decent. We're holding our own. We were a little afraid in the beginning that some businesses wouldn't be able to meet their obligations on the stuff, but things are happening. And he's starting to get a lot of interest in the Shiawassee County area. And
What did they give the award to? Who did they give it to?
they gave it to him and the staff,
Okay.
primarily him, for their response to this whole thing. Because Shiawassee County was one of the best informed in the state. And for instance, that payroll protection program, there was 600 businesses that participated in that for $60 million. So that's
In our county.
that's pretty impressive for a county that's not deeply populated. And a lot of things have been happening. Now, Project Tim is inching closer.
Oh, they
So,
talked about that?
yeah, not at the annual meeting, at the regular meeting, but it is inching closer. So, and part of that, I think, has to do with supply chain, because so much steel is imported that this is becoming more necessary. There's a emphasis on manufacturing in our country. So that's becoming a bigger issue again. So
Justin did say unemployment in Shiawassee County went from 29% to 8.6%?
8.6, I think that's right.
8.6, so
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's and a lot of the people that are still off where they don't want to go back to work
Oh,
yet,
okay.
so
Sure.
that's,
And your planning commission, of course, you already met, but,
planning commission, we didn't have a meeting.
right, well, you met, but that was
That was before our last meeting.
before our last
Yeah.
meeting, yeah,
Yeah, we didn't have an August meeting.
okay. Okay, reports, is that all the reports, Kelly? Okay. Then we have Troy's report, the financial report and pay the bills.
Okay, you got your list in front of you, short list, because of course we only have 3 weeks between meetings here. I guess the highlights put out, you'll just see some of the deposit came through for the first closing on the sale of our property, and the other two are prepped, and hopefully we'll be closing in the next, week or 2 here on that. So they're ready at this point.
So that was 153, 157?
Right.
Okay.
Plus, we had already had the earnest money, which had been shown in the previous. And once we have all of it, then I'll transfer it to one of our other funds. The highlight, I guess, would be our revenue sharing check came in at $42,972. Last year at this time, it was $48,49.
Okay.
So down a little bit, but
No,
not a doomsday scenario for what we've gone through. So far, our revenue sharing year to date, we've had half of them come in 3 of the 6 payments, and these are typically the 3 smaller ones.
okay.
We're at 134,764. Last year at this time we were at 141,802. So we're off by $7,000 or so.
Okay.
So not, compared to what running through our mind in April, we could have been off by $100,000. We're not off by anywhere near that. We'll see how it continues on. The other thing is we did get paid for our reimbursement for the presidential primary. And
You did?
after Kelly arm wrestling with the
You did?
state, we got paid our full amount,
So how much did we get?
$4,400.
Well, good deal. Good job.
That's what our expenses were.
Oh, but we got it back.
Yeah, but
State of
they
Michigan.
questioned, they wanted to debate some of it.
Oh,
Because, see, back in 2016, we didn't have an AV counting board, and the amount of money that we paid election workers was less, and there was just a lot of things that I did that this year I hired.
Delegated.
Yeah, I
Well, yeah.
hired it out.
well,
And
good.
so it cost
Extra.
twice as much.
Yeah, well, good.
So,
Okay. I'll make a move, we approve the financial report and pay the bills.
Second.
Butch will second it. I guess we got a roll call vote, Carmen.
Mark Foltz?
Yes.
Mark Frazier?
Yes.
Francis Griffin?
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt, yes. Ray Carmel?
Yes.
Okay. Correspondence. Troy, you want to start, or you want me to?
I don't have any correspondence.
Oh,
I don't have
oh. Well, I had some emails. One was the MTA meeting, then the cancellation of the MTA meeting, which was after 6, but of course I left here, before 4, so I missed the vote on that deal. Everybody, Ben Frederick did not get there was 18 people that got response about the meeting and 13 that said we'll cancel the meeting, so I don't know what happened to the other 6 or 7, but anyway, whatever. So, I did get a couple correspondence from Trevor Wagonmaker. He was the engineer that we met after the meeting, between the meeting we had on the 12th and this meeting. We met with Trevor, the engineer, on the
Isn't that a
water.
later? Isn't that a
on
later?
water.
Isn't that a later?
And we're going to talk about that, but I've got some communication by email from him. He's on vacation this week, but we did answer the emails. That's it. That's what I have.
You know,
Just
I
one other side comment just to make,
Yeah.
they're nearing completion on our audit, so
Oh, yeah.
we will have that, we should have that for next month, certainly.
I
So-
forgot something on that.
Does that end March 31st?
Right, it ends March 31st, it's due by the end of the month, and I emphasized to them
Oh.
to make sure they have it done in the
Yes.
evening, so they were just here doing some of their follow-up stuff
Okay.
today,
I
so.
missed something on SCDP. They are restarting the coffee meetings,
Yes, I got an email on that.
Okay.
so that,
Yeah.
and probably gonna be at that pavilion in McCurdy Park by the
Where
south.
we
pole
met
at
with the
the
annual
annual
meeting.
meeting, yeah. Not 100% sure yet, but I'm pretty sure that's
That was pretty good. That was good, you know. The TV was hard to kind of hear. But
All of those situations at Parks is gonna work fine until we get into, I mean, for this month and maybe next,
it's
but,
cold.
it.
yeah, what are we gonna do in November? That's
Yeah,
what's gonna
I
suck.
agree.
Yeah, that's right. That's
It's gonna
right.
get exciting.
I mean, right now, for tonight, we could have our meeting in the parking lot if we wanted to,
Yeah.
you know, it's so nice.
We just had to carry the tables out. Yeah, right, yeah, okay. And the core extension cord, again, whatever. Okay. Well, okay. Public comments, announcements. Any announcements, Kelly?
No.
Well, okay, rapidly moving on, unfinished business, DDA water update. We had a meeting, Troy and I attended, and basically, Justin was there also, and we went, give him the update on the, what we're wanting to do on the water loop, and he had some questions. We went to the city of Perry and met with their maintenance superintendent, John, and the engineer, discussed some things he is needing from the city of Perry, so he can make sure he has accurate figures that when he presents the information to us. The city did have a meeting. I think if I mentioned it here, they did have a favorable meeting. The city council in Perry are on board as far as helping to pay the engineering costs to develop something, but they want to look at the new well on Ellsworth, the property, putting a new turbine well in there possibly, and Trevor's willing to do that, look at that with them. And that's kind of the update right now.
I mean, the long and the short of it is for him to get the engineering estimates of opinion, which we need to apply for the EDA grant, you know, he's got to put together all these numbers to say that, you know, the loop is feasible, you know.
And that's gotta be done by the end of this month.
Well, it needs to be done soon, yes. You know,
November.
as soon
Yeah,
as
in a
possible.
month, for as soon as possible. And
So-
he's working on it. He's talked to me
There,
a couple times.
there's
There's some issues.
some of the data he needs, the city doesn't have, you know, so they're having to work around that, per se. I mean, basically for the EDA grant, he has to certify to them that by doing this, you know, the city system can handle it. You know, and it's, you know, I mean, the worst thing you want to do is put in this loop and then find out they don't have enough pressure at the old DNR building, you know, or something like
He needs a
that.
hydraulic model, and they don't have it, the city. So he's trying to help, he's trying to find that, get all the information he can, and maybe make some contacts. Today, he wanted the gentleman that we talked to from the federal grant, and he's gonna talk to him specifically, to make sure, he says, I wanna make sure I get everything that he needs.
Okay.
So Justin gave me that number this morning, and I gave it to him today.
This engineer, I mean, this is a guy Mark's worked with, you know, from back in his Flint days, and he is used to doing much bigger municipalities. But nonetheless, he had a lot of, in the few minutes, you know, when I was in the meeting with him, had a much better background and understanding about the needs for it, I guess, than what I was much more impressed than I was with C280. I mean, for example, we talked about one of the concerns is fire flows and, you know, and all of that. And he just had a much, you know,
Broader.
right, he could give us answers. You know, he said, well, you know, depends on the use, but I mean, 3,500 gallons per minute is the ideal, although most older systems can't do that. You need to have at least 2,500, you know, and your ISO rating will vary between all that. But those were numbers that we could never get before. I mean, they just said, well, you have to have it. Well, what, you know, I need something more than, well, you know, you just have to have it. He was looking at it, and he's not, you know, there was always the talk of a need for a tower out there. And he's not sure, he's going to look at it, but he's not sure that's necessarily what they need. It may be what they need is a booster pump system somewhere in the system, you know, and not a tower, because one of the problems with a tower, if you don't have a lot of use, which there wouldn't be out there, is it goes, you know, goes stale. Effectively, you know, you need to turn that water or it'll freeze in the winter.
Yeah, the booster pump should be much more cost effective.
Much more, maybe, you know, a booster pump and them putting one more well might be what all it needs to get that fire flow. So that's what, he's really looking into it better. So I'm impressed.
Right now, he's doing actual loop.
But we've also told
Same
him, you know,
thing.
right, he was talking about, they did a project in Fowlerville with Handy Township where they've expanded similar things, and that's why he kept emphasizing he really wanted to look at this hydraulic model, because he said they run into problems on the edge of it where they're only getting 20 pounds of pressure. And now nobody's happy, because they've spent the money for it, and the people have tied in, and they don't have enough water pressure. They don't have enough for their normal use. Certainly wouldn't have enough fire flow at that pressure
So
rate.
he's come in to fix it.
You know, and,
Behind him, so,
right,
yeah.
so,
Okay, well,
he,
he'll be fine.
yeah,
He'll be
he
fine.
does.
In one of the
Hopefully,
building committee meetings, we actually were able to talk about insurance savings. You know,
Oh, yeah.
even if the buildings on Bennett, for instance, don't hook to the system right away,
by
the
having,
fact there's a hydrant there is gonna change their ISO ratings pretty
Oh, absolutely.
dramatically, a lot of money to them.
Sure.
So,
and that's what, and this modeling is all part of that ISO thing. What I'm saying is this is the first engineer I've ever talked to about it that's had a more broad knowledge of it.
good. Well, if nothing else, we're sure learning stuff.
Yeah, right, I mean, and, you know, hopefully everything can come in place, but even if it doesn't, we needed to have this step done in front of it, because this was a missing step that hadn't been done before.
Okay, Slocum property update, and that was the, what we voted 0-4 at our August 12th meeting, and then it went before the
County Planning
local
Commission.
planning commission.
County Planning.
The county planning commission, about a week ago, Troy.
And they voted 4-2 to recommend rezoning.
Does
If
anybody
you talked
know
to Mark, you talked to John, Mark, I mean, did he elaborate any on the details, or?
Just that the 2 no's were from this area,
why? Yeah,
the 4 yeses were not from this area.
but was there any,
I've asked for a copy of the minutes and I don't have them yet.
you know, I mean, did he say why they decided to go that, what their
It
justification?
sounded like the main spearhead was McMaster talking about the fact that, you know, future growth, it's farmers, they're trying to make a living. It looks like it's not going to be that, you know, people aren't going to be going and coming. There's not going to be a high traffic area, and so it really probably be a good location for it, kind of off the beat, off the road, and that's kind of how it went.
They had a really nice motorcycle PI.
According to John, that's how,
Sunday.
that's how it
At that intersection.
went.
So
Well, I'm just
anyway.
telling you what he said. That's what he said. So I didn't.
My other version of somebody that was there basically said there was not rigorous discussion.
There was 3 people that live in that area, 3 residents, 3 different resident people voiced their opposition.
So now it will go to the County Board of Commissioners, and it will go to 3 meetings there. First it'll go to Economic and Physical Development, then Committee of the Whole, and then the full Board of Commissioners. I mean, they vote on everything 3 times at the county.
Okay.
And they have to make a week out of it, so, you know,
Time will tell.
Obviously, everybody read the letter that I sent up to the county planning commission. I mean, did that seem okay, or?
I thought
I
it
mean,
did, yeah.
if there's no objection, I'll send the same thing to the board of commissioners,
I would
so it's
think
in their
so,
packet.
I would think so.
I don't know if it'll make any difference or not. I mean, I get the impression some minds are already made up before they read anything.
Sounds like it might be.
Yeah.
John seemed, I said, what do you think how it's gonna turn out? And he thinks it'll be, he'll be the only vote, no. He'll be the only no vote. That's kind of what John said, so.
So if you know any other people on the board of commissioners, though, I would talk to.
No, I kind of shot my wads with the planning commission with Brian, so.
How could he be, I mean, they can't have, how many commissioners do they have on the planning commission?
It's his cousin, Brandon, that's
Oh.
on the commissioner.
Cousin? Oh,
Yeah, no, he's not on anything else at the county,
okay.
other than the fair board.
Oh, okay. All right, so anyway,
That's how that went down. New business, cemetery branch removal, tree removal, branch removal, and roof repair, Kelly.
Yeah. So we've had some windstorm damage, cost us about $2,900 to do that portion of it. Mike came to me and said, we've lost shingles on the schoolhouse, the old schoolhouse, that probably needs to get fixed. And also there are tree limbs that are actually touching on the roof. He said those really need to be cut back. The trees that are overhanging the schoolhouse roof, the tree itself is actually on Pavlikas. It's just hanging over on our side. So I asked him to bid them separately. The roof fix would be $175, and the removal of the trees from the roof on the old schoolhouse would be $425. So based on the fact we've spent so much money cleaning up these other ones that have fallen, I thought maybe we should take these to the board to see if you want to have that stuff taken care of as well.
no, I think we do. I don't think we want to go through the roof.
I would think that, and it's within your purview to do it without even board approval.
It is, but we've spent a lot of money out there.
Do we need to talk to the gentleman that owns the house, or don't worry about
No,
If it hangs over on our property, that's all right.
We've talked to them before, asking them
Oh,
to cut trees
okay.
that are dead down
That's
so
okay.
that they wouldn't fall on headstones, and it
Okay.
hasn't happened.
Well, I
So-
say we should do it.
Yeah.
Butch?
The question I have is, what is the future plans for the schoolhouse? What are we doing there? I mean, it's just kind of sitting there
It just sits there.
molding away.
And Martha
Well, a
wants,
bunch of years ago, we put siding on it.
okay, Martha wants to memorialize the
Old potbelly
old
stove.
potbelly furnace in there. Where'd that come
I
from?
mean, is there a plan for using it for
Not really.
something?
No.
It's just historic.
Story.
I mean, that's why it's there.
It's a fixture.
Yeah.
Okay.
See though, that cemetery could be considered a historical cemetery, because we've got, in order to be considered a historical cemetery, there are certain criteria that you have to meet, and we meet nearly all of those things.
Well, I would believe it, sure.
But there has been no, the ball hasn't moved forward to actually make it a historical cemetery.
Isn't that something that falls in the Parks Committee?
I like you too, Mike.
We had extensive discussion about that schoolhouse, gosh, it's been probably 10, 12 years ago. And it was in kind of rough shape at the time, and we debated either tearing it down or making it so it wasn't quite so poor.
Unsightly,
And at
unsightly.
the time, the board decided to, spruce it up in lieu of tearing it down.
On the outside, but the inside's still pretty rough.
The inside's still pretty rough, but we put a new foundation under it, so it's on a poured wall foundation, and then we put this vinyl siding on it, and at that time, it had a roof that wasn't that long ago.
Well,
So, it's not in horrible shape right now. I mean, yes, the inside's a little rough.
A lot.
I mean, that pole barn is fairly new. Before that, that's where everything was stored. I mean, lawn, all the stuff was in the old schoolhouse.
well, last time I tried, the thing was open,
What?
the schoolhouse.
No, it should be locked.
Really?
This was a while ago,
Oh,
but I walked in and walked around.
You did?
Yeah, no, that was back when we did those trash container things.
During the daylight
I don't
hours?
know, we'll have to wiggle the handles then.
Huh.
Anyway,
I'll let Mike check it.
That's been Mark.
Yeah, I know. But
So-
I'm just saying, you know, is it a target for vandals or somebody living in
well,
it?
it certainly
or-
could be, well, I hope not. But I mean,
I don't know, I mean, we've had raccoons and bats and all kinds of stuff.
we had a bad
inside.
bat problem in there for a long time. I think they're gone now. But I mean, we had a horrible bat problem for a long time. Yeah, so I mean, Sandy had looked into it at the time, you know, whether, because I thought she had said that it was on the historical register list.
I don't think so.
Huh?
She started doing some work on it.
Oh, okay. And the question was, you know, were we restricted or anything? And as long as we hadn't taken any grant money to do anything, we could do whatever we wanted with it. So to answer your question, Mark, it's there as a historical building at this point.
And I don't know if I would think it.
Is that its original site?
Yes.
Okay.
So, right, I mean, right now, I don't think there's anything immediate that has to be done to it, but right, in another 10 years, if it needs a roof, that might be a question to ask, you know, do we worry about it? Do we tear it down? Do people get wound up if we tear it down? I mean,
Well,
probably not a lot, I mean,
this is just kind of off the wall, but if, these are all ifs, but they're putting money in the McQueen house. Chances are pretty strong that if we build the fire hall, and we're gonna have to build one at some point, the library's gonna go in the fire hall, keeping everything in that district. Does it make sense at some point down the road that gets moved into town next to the McQueen house or something? Is that keeping that area kind of together with that kind of stuff? It's just something to think about down the road.
it's an interesting idea. You mean like a little historical village or something?
Yeah, kind of like what they got in McCurdy Park,
No, that was its original site. That was, you know.
but it is a school
That was
house.
that was the Hinkley School District.
Schoolhouse, yeah.
No, it was its own school district. I mean,
But I mean, just, it's not gonna do anything out there,
no,
so,
no, and then somebody could restore the inside to make it, I mean, the fact of the matter is what we've done to it with this vinyl siding and everything else is over the windows, and I mean, it's not laid out like it was when it was a schoolhouse anyway.
right. It just a thought that,
Teacher, the library could use it as a.
I don't think the library ended
Oh.
up using it, but it certainly can be
Reading
part
room.
of the McQueen house setup, you know.
Well, maybe.
Our thinking with the library is that, you know, the parking lot behind the fire hall is all part of the McQueen property.
Oh,
Everybody thought that was city property, and it's not.
it's part of that.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
So,
Any more, yep, proceed.
fix it.
Proceed.
so you said you moved? Who seconded?
Butch seconded.
Okay,
Oh, yep.
all right. Ready for a roll call?
Yep.
Francis Griffith,
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt, yes. Troy Parmalee?
Yes.
Mike Foltz?
Yes.
Mark Fraser?
Yes.
Any more new business for you, Kelly?
Motion to adjourn,
What time is
I'll
it?
second.
Wait, what time is it?
7:30.
7:30, Troy and Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.